Hi guys, welcome to yet another part of our Formatables Refactor. Now we've been away for a little while, main reason being that we were, let's see if I can find my way here. We were trying to get some stuff done offline, like I said. Some of these bits of work are not very amenable to doing it with recording, I think. It just lowers the velocity quite a fair bit. What we did since we last recorded is a fair number of changes. I'm not even entirely sure where the last recording would have been, but something around here. Probably just before that, something around here I should think. So since then what we've done is we got quite close to removing formatters. I think this was part of the last video, to be fair. We got quite close to removing formatters, and then we realized that actually in order to remove formatters we had to deal with the helpers, and that was a story in itself. What we had to do was we had to expose the helpers over to the physical model, which we did. We managed to integrate the helpers with the physical model, just not a spectacular integration, but just sufficient for our purposes right now. And then after getting that to work, we then had to work hard in trying to generate the helpers using this new approach, basically based on the transforms and factories that we use for archetypes. That was a challenge in itself. We had to go through all the helpers. You can see there's quite a few here. Update all of the templates for all the helpers and get them in the right shape. And then once we got that going, we then tidied up a lot of the configuration because we had a lot of keys lying around that were no longer used. So I got rid of those. Let's see if I can look at the commits. I mean, there's so many things that we did. As you can see here, populating the properties. We went through the helpers very carefully to make sure we didn't break anything. Removed all the keys, like I've said. Oh, and then after that we removed all of the legacy templates that we had lying around the file system. The stitch templates were already removed as part of this exercise, and that then allowed us to also remove the transforms that we had, the legacy transforms, such as stitch and whale transforms. And then we just kind of slowly removing all the things that were no longer being used. However, when we got to the point where we thought we would be able to apply the transforms, the new transforms, we then realized we won't be able to do that. And the reason being that we can't move the reducer to its new location in orchestration because it will apply to both C# and C++. So if we enable this new reducer, what would happen is we will reduce both C++ and C# elements. So we can't actually complete the C++ work until we finish the C# work. So that's fine. So what we then did was we tried to get rid of a few easy wins on C#, and then decided that the next one was going to be the helpers. And once we started playing around with the helpers, and we kind of more or less are up to date now, once we started playing around with the helpers, we then noticed that the helpers were not quite working for C#. Now this is not obvious why this is the case, and we were a bit late in the day when we looked into this, so this may be a simple problem, may not be a simple problem, we're not too sure just yet. But the key thing here is that it seems that the helpers, the work that we're doing for the helpers in C# and C++, should I say, doesn't seem to be sufficient for C#. And now we're trying to understand why that is. So let's just start that then. So let's see our... so we got some code here that enables us to move between old world and new world. This is just an experiment, so it doesn't really matter. And we should probably start clocking, I guess. Oh, there we go. It's slow today. So So there we are. Probably about 30 past, I guess. So we are pretty much here really. So the point of this video then is going to see it's going to be to see if we can get to the bottom of why it is that the helpers are not coming out. I've actually recently changed the layout of my setup, which is going to cause me some annoyances today, I'm afraid. Being an OCD person, the monitors are always going to be a little bit tilted or something not quite right. But we just have to grin and bear. So we think that the helper configuration is probably okay. Probably okay. In fact, let's just start by checking that. Ah, interesting. Okay, this could explain it. So the helper configuration is actually coming out under C#. Now, I don't think that is a good thing, I think we may have to change this. The reason being that, well, there's only one set of helpers, and we're never going to have a clash between the helper configuration in C# and C++, I don't think. So let's see what would happen if we had to, let's look at what the configuration looks like. So if I go to the models area, and if I look for share, I may need to lower my monitors again. I'll leave that for after the video. They seem a little bit too high, I think. So if I just do a quick grab here for helpers, maybe. Yeah, here we are. So as you can see here, there's a whole lot of C# and C++ helper families. Now they're in different namespaces, so to speak, which now means that the stuff we've got is not working. What we can do here that could simplify things is we could just say masd.helper.family, because as you can see here, there's never going to be a clash between C++ and C#, I don't think. So I think this is actually not technical space specific. So that being the case, this could also explain why it is that we're having problems. So what we're going to do is, let's just first make the code not break. So if I just new helpers, slash this, and let's get our test passing again. Okay, the tests are passing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to quite carefully change the feature. So the best way to do that is to say look for the helper feature. Here we are. And then in here, so we just have to be careful that we are updating the right things. This is mass.physical.helpers. Okay, I think these are the physical representation of the helper, so it's not quite what we're looking for. Oh, keep making a mistake with these rulers. Right, this is not quite what we're looking for, but it's close enough. Here we are. This is what we're looking for. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say drop the C++ parts of the feature, and then we are going to go back to our grep, and then we're going to say we'll grep, and we're going to change these guys here to become just helper. So you notice we just did it for C++, not for C#. Right, so now that's up to date. And then what we'd expect now is we expect to see just the feature moving. Oh, we haven't generated yet, so that's fine. So we'll generate feature. Oops. Okay, so we just have to be careful. we can't do these changes all at the same time. So let's just do one at a time. So if I just say zi temp, and then if I just co-generate, it's just a question of ordering here. We must change the code generator first, and then the code generator is then looking for the new feature, and then it should be fine. But if we try to run the code generator with the old feature, then it will give us a problem. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy. So that worked. And so what we can now do is you can say something like logical drop cb or technical space prefix on helper family feature. Okay, so that's very simple. And now what we'll do is actually it seems that we haven't pushed all the stuff we got here. What we now do is we'll say, well, if that worked for C++, should also work for C#. So in C# we will drop the feature altogether. We will update the traits for C# that are pointing to the feature, because C# is using the old style references to features. So if I look for formatables, so something like a helper transform here, helper expander. Oh. So in the helper expander there should be a reference here somewhere to a trait, presumably. Here we are. And so all I need to do then is to look for that trait. Probably the worstly named thing we've got around here. Interestingly enough, trait is not in format. I actually don't know why I didn't just use LSP to find this definition. Sometimes one forgets. Right, then here we will also very carefully just drop the prefix. Now we can co-generate. This will just result in a feature being removed. Okay. Okay, sorry, one thing we did forget to do is we forgot to rebuild the code generator. So let's make sure we are running from the latest code generator, and then we can code generate. Okay, that worked. Now, what we need to do is to say update all of the models. So if we just go back to grab, and you can see why it is that concentration here is key, really, because there's a lot of detail you need to keep in your head, and if you lose the plot, everything becomes so much slower. Right, now then, what would happen if we tried to run the tests? Hopefully, right, this is an annoying bug, and we've already reported that bug, so I'm not going to bother with that now. We just need to make sure that we don't have a feature initializer, which is good anyway. I should think this would probably fail. Oh, that worked, interesting. I'm not sure why. Oh yeah, the reason why is because there are no C# models in Dogen, that's all. So we just have to follow through all of the errors related to the removal of the feature. Actually just wanted to run the tests, but there you are. Oh, that was an error. Oh, that's peculiar. I thought we oh, we did not follow through. Right, so at some point this is going to compile. We just have to keep going. I mean, I could actually pay attention to what LSP is telling me instead of waiting for the compiler. Okay, cool. Now then, Okay, this is probably because we have modified. Oh, interesting. No, that's fine. Let's have a look at this more carefully. I think we removed the wrong thing in initializer. Let's have a careful look at that. So that I think is fine. That I think is fine. Here we just got a little bit trigger happy. We meant to remove the first, not the second. So let's just get all of this saved down. Yeah, we definitely need to lower the monitors, I should think. Seems a little bit too high. Should really get them in eyesight. If you have to look up, then not a good sign. Righty, so that actually seems to have worked. So I made a mistake on my commit a second ago. Let me just do a ZI TMP for this. And what I really meant to say was drop the C++ technical space, because now we got exactly the same thing but for C#. So okay, so now that all looks very good. Now let's just see, given that we are now running with the same set of well, now we're using the same properties, does that make any difference to the problem that we're facing? It's not necessarily the case this is the only problem, so but brilliant. Okay, so let's just say what should we say? Use new. Well, actually, I'm going to take away the commented out code here because we're not going to revert this anymore. So what are we saying then? Use new helpers. Use the logical helper information or details. Okay, so now then, hopefully what that now means is we can start removing stuff. So in theory, this guy is no longer used. Now, of course, bear in mind that this is not the end of anything really, because all that does is remove the helpers. It doesn't really we're still stuck. We're still blocked, but it will take us a step closer, I should think. How are we doing for time? 18 minutes. Oh wow, this was a pretty quick task. Right, so let's just start removals then. First let's just make sure we're working from the latest code generator. And then let's code generate everything. And now we expect to see a lot of removals. Let's just accept everything and then remove our notebook. Now I'm just going to compile from the compilation area and then just handle the fallout, because it's just going to be quite a few of these, I think. So we don't really have a helper expander. We won't be calling the helper expanders. We don't really need any of these. Now we will need the feature model. No, we won't need the feature model, interesting enough. So what we'll do is we'll start actually switching off the lights on these guys here. Just so we don't have to deal with all that stuff at the end. And this makes it a little bit more incremental. So we don't really need any of that. Okay, so now when I try to compile this, we'll go one level up and everything will break. So the workflow will start to moan. Again, we just need the model expander. And when we call the model expander, we just need the model itself. And all these guys change as well. And the question now is how much of this we actually need. So, well, we don't need access properties, so let's get rid of that. We don't need the Formatables repository, it seems. No, we do. Logical ID, I don't see logical ID being used anywhere. Apologies, this is a map of some kind. I think I just deleted the wrong thing. Yes, I did. Okay, there we are. So we need a feature model. No, we don't. So we need a repository and we need a model. Okay. Now let's go to the header and let's just say these two guys. And again, compile. We will have the same level of errors, just one level up. And here, this guy will now be saying, well, we don't really need the aspect properties. Don't really need any of that, which means we don't need any of. Oh, we don't need half of these. So that was the create formatables model. So no feature model, we just need this repository for now. That looks fine, and now somewhere around here we'll be calling no feature model, I believe. Means no feature model. So I think we propagated the changes up all the way. Now should get a compilation now. So that's kind of the end of the helper saga, really. Which is quite satisfying, I guess. You see how formatable here is really converging to the C# formatables, really. We just wanted to have element and artifact, so it's going to very much look like a region. But we still have the element properties to get rid of, and these are the attribute properties. So the next target is going to be the attribute properties. This will require a little bit of thinking. Oh, interesting, we broke everything. Okay, that's slightly unexpected. We broke the helpers, so that would make me think we probably thought that we'd done everything a second ago, but we didn't. That's actually quite interesting. Let's think about this. What have we changed? So a second ago we thought that the helpers were coming through new world, so we didn't have to worry about the old way of doing things. But it seems like the model, the helper expander, was actually still doing some work, because otherwise this would not have happened. So the helpers are not coming through. Right, we need to revert these changes and try to understand. So remove helpers, helper expander. So I'll just stash that for just 1 second. Let's have a quick look at what the helper expander. Well, so we think we don't have that in C++ anymore, so let's just get rid of all the C++ versions of that. Now, helper expander. Let's just for 1 second try to understand. We need to just look at the assistant and the helper expander. So let's just look at all the helpers we have here. In the old world, I'm just going to reopen the C# model. We have 2 versions of it now. So in the old world, no, in fact there is no use of any variables here. Ah, no, there is. Okay, so we do have element helper properties, as you can see here. Right, we thought that no one was relying on element helper properties. Now, is that not true? So this... No, sorry, I did not express myself correctly. So formatable element properties, helper properties. So that's the old way of doing things. The new way of doing things is we go straight to the element, right? So you can see here we are going straight to the element. So these are being obtained via the logical model transform. Let's just double check that when we do get helpers, we're not doing something that could require... No, that looks fine too. Right, now then, what could cause this problem? This kind of seems to imply that we are still running the old transform. Well, the only explanation for this is that somebody is using the Formatables helper properties, right? Somebody other than this guy here. If we just go back to where we were a second ago. Here we are. So what's this? Context.elementProperties.alphaProperties.empty. Yeah, we kind of did half of the job really. We should have... Well, to be fair, this should have caused the compilation error. Yeah, okay, I think I understand what's going on here now. Let's just unstash our changes. How are we doing for time? So if I just unstash our changes, then I'm just going to do a quick change here. So the idea here is basically saying, well, if... I don't understand why this is not causing a compilation error. I thought that we deleted the helper properties clearly. I know, wait up, let's not get confused about versions. So we did clearly delete the helper properties in the element properties. And this thing here should be causing a compilation error. Let's just make sure we are up to date. Emacs sometimes forgets. No, we are. So why is this not causing a compilation error? Because element properties surely should have been a Formatables element properties, which it is. I think we just haven't co-generated yet. Okay. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to first update this to where it should have been. Okay. And the second is, let's just not context, of course. Not dot either. Right, so let's just do that first. Then second, let's say we need a code generation to get latest of our model. And then hopefully we'll see quite what I expected. I expect element properties not to have helper properties anymore. So did we not save perhaps? Ah, we did not save. Okay, no problems. See, that would have helped because they would have revealed that we were relying on something that doesn't exist anymore. Now that was going to cause all sorts of changes now. And now the question is, what happens? The purpose of doing this deletion is to make sure that anyone that is still relying on those helper properties is going to fail to compile, which is exactly what's happening. And you can see here the danger. Now, so this is a class transform. Can't change the class transform directly because that's a model to text transform. I'm not sure we got in this area. Oh yeah, we're doing some experiments with Kafka here. I'm not entirely sure what the class. We forgot to check what facet that would types. So in types, we shall have a template. I wonder if we should start editing templates via org mode. Well, let's worry about that later. So in here, somebody is making a reference to the helper properties. Now, of course, we'll have an element, and the element is here. So we just need to see what the cast version of the element is, and it's O. So all we need to do is to say O dot helper properties dot empty, and just update our code generator. Now then, if I just code generate that, if I look at my diffs, I'm not entirely sure that's correct C++, but the compiler will tell us, I'm sure. Right, so we're probably just going to have a few of these, so we just have to go through. Nice to have them all in one go, but there you are. So what I was saying a second ago is, let me just update all my org mode models. It's not entirely the most craziest of ideas. So if all the one thing I should probably not have done is to update org mode models while in the middle of another change, but there you go. So if I just go to models, and open up say text.c#, and then say what are we looking for? Transforms and types, primitive I should think. This contains that stitch transform, and all I need to do is to say edit it. Oh, actually, I should be editing from here. And then if I just say stitch mode, please. I could actually do this on the Babel, on the org modes source block, but for whatever reason, that seems to make org mode go a little bit crazy. I think polymode and org mode don't work terribly well together. But there you are. So now here, if I just look for helper properties, there we are. And if I just say, please refer to the primitive helper properties, copy the content of this, and then go back to my model, which is this guy here. And also what I can now do is say, well, are there any other helper properties anywhere? And you see I'm just going through every single template. And there aren't. So this is, the future is definitely going to be editing everything from org mode. We're misled by UIs, I think. So let's just regenerate these guys. And now if I just run the tests, it's not necessarily the case this is going to work, but Now, in an ideal world, we'd commit these two changes separately because there are two changes going on here. One set of changes is fixing the transforms. The other one is removing all sorts of crap, and I think we should really do that, to be honest. Let's not be lazy. So let's just first get rid of these org mod models. Models. Update org mod models. And then what we do is we'll say, no, we can't do that because all of them are changes to the C# model. So I'm afraid there's nothing for it. We just have to commit everything together. So then, text.c#, remove helper expander, fix uses of alcohol expander and associated types. Fix uses of the helper of the legacy helper properties. Okay, so we did two things in one commit, which is never ideal, but life is like that. Okay, now then, so that was good. The next task is to get rid of all these guys here. This will give us a good bang for the buck. And we still have a couple of transforms that are going to be interesting, these guys here. But we'll deal with those last, I think. So, well, this is the usual drill, I should think. We have some bad modeling going on here. Some auxiliary function types, whatever that means. There should be an associated transform. Actually, it may even be the case that we're not using this. So before we start getting a little bit too crazy here, let's just double check that anyone is actually using these guys here, because sometimes we come up with ideas and then realize they don't work. Never quite clean things up. Let's do a quick check. So if I just look for everything, okay. Now that, oops, I made a mistake there. I meant to say C++. So what do we have here? We see the properties, we see the function itself, attributes. This is all generated code. Oh, and we don't really see any uses, right? So it seems we're in luck. Let's see what happens if we start deleting. Quite liberally, I think. Right, let's just delete all of that. I'm not entirely sure, actually. Let's make sure we're running from the latest code generator. And then regenerate. What are we doing for time now? 38. So what we'll probably... Ooh. I thought we deleted... Well, we must have deleted the wrong thing then, because... Yes, we deleted the element, not the element properties. Right, as I say, concentration. So what we'll do with this video... Somebody else is still referring to element properties. Perhaps the context. Yes, that would be the case. So what the objective of this video then will be to just get us to the two transforms that are going to be tricky. We've done the helpers, we've done these easy wins, and then the other two are going to be a bit tricky. I might even not record those because I think I need to think a little bit about that. Okay. Now we shall try to see how ingrained into the context the element properties are. I mean, the context itself, of course, is trivial. Yeah, that's not going to be the problem. The problem is who is using it. So, as expected, the context is just a case of deleting things. Nothing major here. Where it will become more interesting is if there's still some remnants of use of that member variable. That's going quite nicely. This is just the context generation. Interesting enough. Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I think we don't need either the aspect properties or the assistant properties in the context anymore, because they are now available elsewhere. Think about this for a second. Oh, you know, okay, we can't actually do that for the reason that we model them very quick and dirty sort of approach. So I reckon what we're going to see, yeah, exactly, these have been added to the model, and we'll get rid of them in a second as soon as we stop using a formatables model and use a proper logical model. So that seems to have been successful enough. So let's just say text.cpp delete unused attribute properties. Oh, C# of course. And related types. Okay, that was quite a good win. Okay, so now then, we are quite closely zooming into our objective. This is the wrong version of the model. So we're quite closely getting to the point where we wanted to, which is to make C# and C++ the same, and to get rid of all the transforms. So now literally we have two transforms that are giving us all the trouble. And once we get rid of those two transforms, we could attempt to bypass formatables altogether and just provide a logical model to the text transforms and see what happens. And if that works, we could actually just delete the formatables namespace. So I suspect, however, that these two transforms here will require quite a bit of thinking, because these transforms are straddling between logical and physical space, I think. In effect, using the expander is the C# equivalent of the using of the dependencies transform in C++, which gave us no end of problems, this guy here. And the project items transform, we don't have an equivalent for that, but it will also be very similar in that it will require introspection of the physical model in order to populate the logical model. So we'll leave those two for another video, I think, because I reckon we're going to have to really think deeply about this. In fact, I might even give it a good go before I start a video, until I'm quite convinced that it's doable in a video. Okay, so that's all for today. We managed to get rid of the helpers, so that's quite good in C#. Thanks for watching.